Okay, so this is the next video in our continuation of our AWS series. So in the last video, we looked on the RDS. So in this video, we will look a little bit, just an overview about the Elastic Cache and some information about the Dynamo DB. So in the last video, we have covered the RDS. So RDS is the Relational Database Service. So it is basically a service. It is not the database. So it is a service which provides us the managed database. Like we can spin up any database, MySQL, PostgreSQL. So if we go to the RDS, so it is a basically a kind of a service. So why it is slow? Yeah. So 1 minute. So we can create. Sorry, no, not this one. So this is the Aurora. So go to the RDS. So databases. So we can create the database, and we can create the any database like MySQL, MariaDB, PostgreSQL, Oracle, Microsoft SQL Server, right? So this is a relational database. If we have to create the managed relational database, then we have to use the RDS. But we have some database that the in-memory database like Redis and the Memcache. So if you have to create the Redis and the Memcache, then we have the one more service, that is the Elastic Cache. Similarly, is the RDS. We have the Elastic Cache. So Elastic Cache is a service. Elastic Cache is not a database. So if you search for the Elastic Cache, so you could say in-memory cache. So Elastic Cache. So Elastic Cache is a kind of a service which will help us to create the managed in-memory database. So what managed in-memory database? Like Redis on Memcache. So if you want to use the Redis and the Memcache database, so you can go to the Elastic Cache as a service, and you can spin up whether the Memcache or whether you can create the Redis in-memory database. So I have no idea what actually is the Redis and the Memcache, but as per me understanding, what Redis and the Memcache is used for, as the term said, it is the in-memory database. So generally what happened, so this is my understanding. I never worked on the Redis and the Memcache. So let's suppose we have one application, all right, and one application is doing the write and the read. So it's both way from any RDS database, maybe it MySQL or any database, PostgreSQL, right? So any database. So one application is doing read write operation, on the RDS database, right? But there could be many queries. It could be the same query. There could be same query which we are running multiple times. So unnecessary, we are running the same query multiple times from the database, and we are reading the same data again and again and again and again. So with this, we are unnecessary putting a load. We are unnecessary putting a load on our RDS database. So what we will do is, we will whatever the query which we are running multiple times on our RDS database. So what we will do, we will fetch that particular result, right? So fetch the particular result which will be come from this which query, and we will store into the cache, into the basically cache database, and which could be either the Redis or either the Memcache. So next time what will happen, when the application trying to run the same query, so it will not go to the RDS database, it will go to the in cache, in memory database, which is Redis and Memcache. But if it is any another query, it will go to the RDS database. So this is the advantage of the in-memory database. But I have never worked, but just I have a little bit understanding, when I'm not sure whether understanding is correct or wrong. So this is Elastic Cache. So from the exam point of view, it is important. And the third type of database is Dynamo DB. Sorry. So if you go to the Dynamo DB, so you could see here it is mentioned. 1 minute. Let me search again. So it is mentioned manage NoSQL database. So if you have to spin up managed SQL database, relation database, then you have to use the RDS. If you have to spin up in memory database, that is the cache database, then you have to use the elastic cache as a service. But if you have to spin up Dynamo DB database, then you have to use the Dynamo DB, and it is also the managed NoSQL database. So there is no relationship between the tables, nothing, there is no schema, nothing like that. It is just a key value pair. So it's a NoSQL database. Right. So in the Dynamo DB, what we will do, like we will create a table, and we have so let's try to run it practical. So we click on the Dynamo DB. So it is a like a NoSQL database, and it could be scale. So create a table, and we have to mention the table name. So let's mention the table name, sample table. So underscore is accepted, so we can use underscore. Now we have to, like, it's a key value pair, right? It's a basically key value pair, you can say, like NoSQL. So as part of the key, there is a primary key, and the primary key comprise of one value, like one field, or two field. So as part of the primary key, which consists of partition key as well as the sort key. So if you go here, partition key and the sort key, but partition key is important, sort key is optional. Like partition key is mandatory, sort key is optional, and both keys combined as a primary key. So here you could see the next option, it says the partition key. The partition key is the part of the table's primary key. So it is the part of the table's primary key, along with the sort key is also the second part of the table primary key, but it is optional. So there is no need to use like mandatory to use the sort key, but it is a part of the primary key. So primary key consists the partition key plus sort key, but sort key is optional, partition key is mandatory. All right. So let's give like any partition key. Generally it could be the ID, and we will leave the sort key as is and leave the default settings, and just create the table. So table starts getting rating. And have you noticed one thing? We have just mentioned the key and the table name. That's it. We have not mentioned the whether like at the back end, like it will like provision something. We did not mention whether you want to like t2.micro instance of DB or t3.micro instance. But when you work on the RDS database, if you click on the RDS, or better, I should open into the new tab, but anyhow it's open. So if I try to create the database, and let's select my MySQL, and if I have to create the database here, it will like ask me like how many storage you want, and on which EC2 instance you want. So where is the EC2 instance option? Yeah, so it is also like whether you want the T2 dot like micro or large. So it is asking is it, and based upon this information, it will spin up the virtual machine at the back end. Though we will not able to see those virtual machine, but DynamoDB did not ask any such kind of information from our from us. Like, so that's why it is called as a serverless database. So if you find a keyword into the exam, serverless database, the answer would be the DynamoDB. So if you click on the table, all right, and so there are no items. So if you explore the table items, so just to check how many items are into the table, so I click on it. Items returns are 0. So right now there are no items. So let's expand this. So let's create an item. So you could see one button, create item. So create an item. So user ID is by default their key, primary key. So let's give the user ID 1001, and we can give any other field as well. So add the new attribute. So we can get any number of attributes like string and entities of any type, like string, number, boolean, string set, number set, list, map. So let's add a string, and let's give the first name, and give the first name, and let's add one more attribute, that is also string, and as a last name, and create an item. So now you could see the number of item returned is 1, and one item has been created. So let's create one more item. So use user ID 1002 and add one more item, first name. And this time I am giving only the first name, I'm not giving the last name. So create an item, and you could see it is created. Like, there is no need to mention the last name. So it is a very flexible kind of a schema, because it is a NoSQL database. There is no need to mention like all the fields. So whatever the fields like is required, we can mention that field. Along with that, all the data will be resided into the same table. So if you create multiple tables, then you can't you cannot perform any kind of a joins, because this is not a relation database, it is a NoSQL database. So once you have done with this, so we have created a one sample table. So if you have to use the NoSQL database, so we can try it with the DynamoDB, and it is very flexible. It is a serverless, because we don't need to provide any server kind of information. It is very highly scalable. So as soon as the data grows, it will be like scale up automatically. Along with that is come under the free tier. So I forget to tell you that. So because before using any service, we have to check whether we will pay or not. So if you search here Dynamo, so imagine Dynamo DB is fast and the flexible NoSQL database with seamless scalability. So 25 GB of storage is free, is come under the free tier, and it will remain always free. So yeah, so we have covered that. So let's so after doing that, so let's delete our table. So just click on it, delete it. So you are about to delete a table, sample table, correct? Delete all CloudWatch alarm. Yes. Do you want to create a backup? No, I don't want to create a backup. So just delete it. So table will be like deleted soon. One more thing. So here, like one more option, we have the DAX. So DAX is the Dynamo DB accelerator. So what is this? So it is basically in memory cache for the Dynamo DB database. So basically, so here we are using the elastic cache, or in which we can use the Redis and the Memcache. Like, so this elastic cache or Redis and Memcache can be used with any kind of the database like MySQL or PostgreSQL database, right? So I have told you we have one application and we are doing the read write operation into the RDS database like MySQL, PostgreSQL, and there could be like a couple of queries. The same queries we are running every time and multiple times, and we are unnecessarily putting the load onto the RDS database. So what we will do is we will use the in-memory database, maybe Redis or Memcache, and we will store the result into the Redis and Memcache. And next time our application will try to execute run that query, we will not run from the we will not run the query into the RDS database, but we will run the in-memory query on the Redis and on the Memcache. So we will not put a load. So Redis and Memcache like work on the like any kind of database, but the similarly concepts applicable with the DynamoDB. So for the DynamoDB, it is a NoSQL database. So there could be like query which are impacting the DynamoDB database. So we can also use the in-memory kind of database here. So DynamoDB has a separate in-memory a kind of a caching database, so which is called as a DynamoDB accelerator. So DAX, so its short form is a DAX. So DAX is an in-memory cache, and this is only for the DynamoDB. It will not work with the MySQL, PostgreSQL. It is only for the DynamoDB. So basically, we have the application. So right now, our application is directly accessing the DynamoDB. So we can in between, we can put the DAX. So whenever any query will come, so it will find that query into the DAX. If it is there, like it will return it. Otherwise, you try to search from the DynamoDB. Right, so it is a kind of a like a in memory. So this is basically only for the you can say DynamoDB. Along with that, there is a one more concept, Dynamo DB tables, and called as global tables. So as part of this, so let's suppose you have set up the DynamoDB table in any region, maybe you can say US region, and what we will do, we will mark it as a global. So if we mark it as a global, so let's suppose we have one more region, that is the Europe region, or maybe London region. All right, and we will like create a replica of this table into the London region as well, and this is also the global table. So it is a basically a replica. So what will happen, so if there is our application, and our application is being used by the users, so users are located in our both the region, US region and the London region. So the users who like near to the US region will access the data from this table. The users who are near to the London region will access the data from the this table. But what about the read? This is the read, sorry. But what about the write? So write will also happen on both the tables. So this is basically a two-way. So write and read can be happen in multiple regions. All right, so it is not mandatory like whatever is the master table we will write only on that. No, so we can write in any of the in any of the table which reside in any region. So that's it. So that's the end of the video. Thank you.